Previously on AFTN.
You were just sour because you had to actually pay attention to the game and you couldn't just listen to it.
I'm deaf from the first one.
Oh, yeah.
With a Japanese guy.
I agree with you there.
Waking Caitlin up by going,
Coach is going to coach, man.
yeah.
You got to be prepared. A few people were calling for you to commentate.
Yes. If we hadn't given our mics away to the preview show, we could have done that.
What?
Oh, it's on loan.
Yeah, Joe
With an
Deasy
option to
and
buy.
and the crew. I don't think they've got enough TAM.
Yeah.
Hey ho, let's go. It's another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. There's still time on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pender.
And we will be joined by the late Zachary Adam Meisenheimer. He's on his way here. We've moved the show up this week. He wasn't able to get here for the start. He'll be here probably for part 2. And if you listen to this show on the podcast, this is episode 323.
Hey, there's somebody at the door. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Come on, there's somebody at the door. Oh, there's somebody at the door.
It's the bastard son of me, Joe Deasy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, we're bringing in special guests.
Back from my 2-month suspension for diving on the last podcast that we did.
It was absolutely brutal.
Yeah. I should have waited until someone was around me to go down clutching my face.
True. I don't know. I'm all for folk going down on a Sunday night. Always good fun. Who knows? Maybe we'll have somebody else at the door later on in the show. For anyone that's my age that grew up in the UK, or 10 years younger even, they might know that music as being from a children's TV show involving a man called Rod Hull. He had an emu puppet on his arm. Yeah, blank looks.
No, I don't ever watch it,
Yeah.
but he's okay now, right? There were no cases against him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's fine? Okay.
Well, he'd probably died before that.
Oh.
Was the emu speaking in that clip, or were those kids in the
That
audience?
was kids.
Okay.
He
It was high pitched, so you never know.
True,
Yeah.
true. Bizarrely, that's not going to be the only reference to Rod Hull in this show. I'll explain more about him when we get to that. But I tell you who else is knocking on the door. It's only Fredy Montero knocking on the door of Sport and CP, saying, "Please let me go back to Vancouver. I want to open my coffee shop." I'm not good with the Spanish accents or Colombian accents.
He
That
does
was
have-
Spanish?
He does have a higher pitched voice than you think when you look at him. I remember looking at him in
Yeah.
interviews. He does have that kind of.
He's good
Yeah.
to talk to. I'm looking forward to catching up with again. Yes, the coffee shop entrepreneur, hoping to add some beans to the Whitecap attack,
Yeah.
roast some defences along the way. Could be a grind of a season, especially early on, so we want to get him percolating the Whitecaps early. And if pre-season results are anything to go by, we're going to need him pretty darn quick to get in that starting lineup. But
Hopefully he has a lot of doubles.
yes,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
4 goals a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
I think currently we're at 1 so far this preseason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Even though-
Scored by a centre,
Been a
midfielder playing in centre back.
definitely a slow grind there.
Yeah.
Montero, though, returns after a season away. We talked about it a bit last week when it was pretty certain he was coming back. He He had his best ever MLS season in 2017 when he was with us, so forget all those Sounders nonsense days. 15 goals and 6 assists across all competitions in 39 appearances.
In a system that didn't suit him at all either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't even start all those. It's like 8 of those were off the bench.
I think someone said last week on last week's show that it was a miracle that he got that many goals in Robbo's system.
It really is when
Yeah.
you think about it. The amount of times you saw him having to come back and get the ball.
It was
Or-
really frustrating, actually,
Yeah.
but it was the only way he would get the ball. Is
Yes.
if he went out, I think it was to the right, he would
Yeah,
go
he'd
all the
often
time.
go out wide,
Yeah.
get the ball, look up. It's like, oh, there's no one there. Yep, because that's meant to be
Yeah.
me, and I'm here.
Send a cross into Christian Teixeira to head it in,
Yeah.
the shortest man in the league or something.
A tactic we continued last
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
Kai Kamara was sending him.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Kamara pitching the ball to the back post for little Christian Teixeira
Yeah.
to not do anything with them.
Baffling, really.
It really is. We couldn't keep him for 2018 because we didn't have the money to keep him. Thanks to Fonzie, though, we've now got the money to keep him. And one of the really good things that I like about it is we've got him in a 2-year deal,
Hmm.
which hopefully means we're not going to be going in the search for another striker again all too quickly, as we've kind of done a little bit too often.
Yeah.
Now, when you said that they weren't able to keep him, I looked into talked to a couple people. It wasn't a transfer fee that was stopping it. It was actually the salary. I think that was the
Yes.
issue.
I think we offered him right
because-
about 700, 750.
Because the Chinese club did want a transfer fee, but nobody was giving it. So they eventually they let him go for free to Sporting as well. So
But he was one of those players that got caught when the Chinese government brought in the foreign player rule. right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So they had to get him, let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody knew it, so that's why nobody was offering
Well,
a
the
transfer
club
fee.
probably realized that they accidentally triggered Breck Shea's contract. And
Yeah,
they didn't
maybe
have
that
room
was
for
the
another
reason.
designated player. So that could have been
Yeah,
the
actually, that
explanation.
probably did play a part in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he ended up going to Sporting in January 2018. Started 18 of 37 appearances for them. So not a regular starter with them either, which
Yeah, but
you
they
see
have
what he's done here, so you think that's surprising. But yeah,
Sporting have a great team. They have,
Exactly.
I think around that time they signed Bas Dost, who's he's a starting striker for the Netherlands. He's great. He's a big target man. Kind of not what Fredy is, but Fredy's record there isn't too bad. Played in the Europa League and
yeah,
yeah.
won 2 League Cups, Portuguese League Cups.
But if they were so good, why do they keep getting attacked by their supporters?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, now that's definitely an interesting thing
Other
to
than
talk to
Zach,
him
I
about
think
when we
he's safe.
catch up with him.
Other than Zach, I think he's safe here.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a scary situation. A bunch of the players tore up their contracts because
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
they
were
left,
violating.
But he was loyal to the club.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he did love it there.
Mm-hmm.
He probably is a bit sad to leave. And although he wasn't a regular starter, he performed. And he performed at what I would say is a higher level than what MLS is.
Without a doubt,
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe not all the teams, because there are some.
Yeah, there's 3 big teams
Yeah.
and maybe 3.5 big teams in Portugal. It's an interesting league, actually. There's English journalist called Andy Brassel, and he loves Portugal a lot. And he spends a lot of time. He actually every World Cup tournament and Euro tournament, he spends it with the Portuguese squad. He knows them all very well. He's a very interesting person to look into. But he was saying a few weeks ago that in the Portuguese league, it's different to other leagues. The big teams don't drop points usually. Because all the bad teams are so bad. You get these teams that are off on the islands of Portugal and things like that. So when you play as a big club,
teams.
yeah, when you play at a big club, you're expected to win every single game. So it's a different kind of pressure to playing it for an English team where you can drop points against Burnley or Crystal Palace and things like that. And then when you play the big teams, then they're huge matches because that's where the league is won and lost. So definitely a different kind of league to the MLS.
And he scored 9 goals for them across all competitions, and 5 of those came in the Europa League. So scoring at a really high level.
Yeah.
I think it's a great pickup. I'm really, really glad to see him back. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I know there's other options you could have got. I feel it's important to have one of your main guys that is familiar with the league and has performed in the league.
Exactly. Some familiarity, although it's 1 year removed, some continuity.
Yeah.
If only he can, be able to use that walker and get across the pitch because he's so damn old.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's a lot of comments out there going, "Oh, why are you bringing back him? He's old. He's 31."
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you... Did you forget Kai Kamara last year?
Mm-hmm.
He's a couple of years older and what
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
And Montero, I don't think he's a type of player that has wear and tear. He's not jumping around too much. He's not battling with strike. He's more of a shifty kind of guy.
Yeah,
so he's not
strength and
gonna.
shifting
So he's
is-
not going to
yeah.
be like putting that much wear and tear on his legs and knees and stuff like that Kamara would.
And his attitude was never under question when he was here. So that's something I think with this new playing style that needs to be brought in as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was always the model professional here, and didn't seem to get caught up in all this La Banda stuff in the locker room and things. And interesting, him and Jordi Reyna really is the only two remainder ones that could have been classed as being in that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he played under Robbo, as we talked about, Robbo's style certainly did not suit the kind of player he is. You have to feel with what MDS has talked about what he's wanting to do, and we'll talk a little bit about. We were at a chalk talk that he did on Wednesday as well. This seems to really suit Montero down to the ground.
Yeah, and like to be the person who finishes off the moves when you have a high press, right? Like so many times when he was in Vancouver, or like 2 years ago, he kind of popped up in the box and just did that finish, right? And it's definitely going to be needed for this new system. And to go back on the kind of striker that Robbo needed, it has to be such a specific kind of striker to work for that. Someone who gets back and closes down the angles, but then can get up the field fast enough to hit on the counter attack as well. Someone who can keep up with Fonzie, which wasn't there last season. And I don't think Fredy would have been that guy either. Like speed isn't his strongest suit. But
also under Robbo's system, you need your forwards to do a lot of defending.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamara last year was phenomenal at that. The amount of headers he won in the box from corners and set pieces coming in.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's then so far back he can't get up the field. Montero doesn't bring that same defensive game, but under De Santos, he probably won't need to.
Yeah, I don't think he will with the 4-3-3, if that's what he's going with. But.
I mean, it looks like 4-3-3 verging occasionally into 3-5-2 from what you kind of indicated. Some of it will maybe depend on the opponent as well. But he feels he's got the personnel there to go 4 at the back or 3 at the back.
Okay.
A little bit terrifying with the experience we've had with 3 at the back under
Yeah.
Robbo.
Yeah.
But this is a whole different animal now, really.
They're more athletic center backs than before, and they can run up and down the pitch. So that's something you need.
Yeah, but 3-5-2 scares. Like every time we hear mentioned in the same breath as Whitecaps, it scares us for good reason. We all remember the Chicago game and all that. Like that was probably the worst out of all of them. But
the RSL game I thought was worse. The one in the snow.
That game was boring.
But I mean the snow, you can't really judge it on.
No, you can't. But it didn't work out well.
And we'll always have that gif of someone throwing a snowball at Christian Dean, which is fantastic. But like
Neil Henry in a 3 in the back terrifies the life out of me. You have to say
it does. But like
I think he'll get more support that way.
He will, but it depends what role he is on the 3 in the back, right? There's the ball-playing guy, there's the stopper, and there's the cover, right?
I think he'd be on the right. Well, he'd be on the right. I don't know if that makes a difference.
It does, for the roles, it probably wouldn't. But
it's going to depend who he's up against.
Who's the ball-playing defender? We haven't seen Karimi play properly yet. We know that, and we know Godoy will jump into anything, so he's probably the stopper guy.
He'll probably get a couple of sending offs this year.
I put out a poll who would get more red cards, Waston or Godoy, and Waston actually won the poll.
I think Waston probably.
Well, everybody knows him. Yeah.
We should track that through the season.
Yeah, that's going to be an
graph
interesting
coming out every week because it's probably going to be in that race of how many red cards per week.
Now, Montero's coming into a squad where there's only 3 strikers, and one of them is Theo Bair. And you've got Ardez coming in, relatively unknown to us and the league, but obviously has performed well at youth level and over in Europe and stuff. But how much pressure do you feel is on Montero? He's obviously the starting striker.
Yeah.
Robbo rested him every now and again, but folk know what he did in 2017. They're going to expect him as soon as he comes in the squad to keep that going.
Yeah. Personally, I think having these 3 strikers and in the places that they are in their career, it is the best fit. 3 players fighting over 1 role. Theo Bair will not get too disappointed if he gets a few minutes off the bench. Ardez will have to he wants to get his career up and running. And Montero won't mind if his role reduces throughout the season.
Yeah.
So you have that kind of dynamic that's it's healthy, right? Because Montero won't mind getting a rest. Ardays will try and take his chances and work on his career.
Well, that's the thing. Both of them need to score
Yeah.
to claim that spot.
Yeah, and whoever scores, like if I was MDS, there's lots of other factors too, but whoever scores plays, right? Or whoever's hot plays, and the other person has to prove himself
That's
off the
definitely
bench.
going to be the thing. It's like when you've got so much competition, you want the hot guy playing. That's why we got you in the studio tonight. Montero is going to arrive in LA later this week. So you're probably talking just over a week before the season begins.
Yeah.
He's needing to find chemistry with this group fast. I mean, right now it's less than 2 weeks this season. He's probably going to be there maybe 8 to 10 days before the season kicks off. His last match with the Whitecaps, I had a look to see who he played with. And it was the playoff loss in Seattle. From that whole game day squad of 18, the only 2 players that were in that 18 that are still with the Whitecaps, Jake Nerwinski, Jordi Reyna. That, I mean, we know it's a massive turnaround, but for Montero coming in, that is a massive turnaround.
Montero will be more comfortable than most of the new signings, right? It'll be like putting on an old, what is it, slipper or something? Putting on like he'll be comfortable coming into an MLS setup with all the travel, with the way that the preseason works. I think we have other players to worry about in terms of settling in, but he will probably play a big role in getting the team chemistry up and running and everyone figuring out where they stand in the squad and the dynamics and all that kind of stuff. Already speaks English and speaks Spanish to the players.
And probably Portuguese as well now.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully.
Chinese, if he was in...
him and MDS, languages galore. Now, Montero's last match for Sporting, this is according to Transfer Market, was on January 7th. He got an assist in the 2-1 loss to Tondela, who I'd never even heard of. He was listed as missing for the last 3 matches with an unknown injury and had just come back into the team for that Tondela match after missing 3 matches from what Transfer Market said was a ligament crack in the ankle, which seems a very fast recovery from a ligament crack in the ankle. So, I mean, hopefully he's fully fit and ready to go. Do you have concerns about that? Especially, we're bringing guys in like Hwang as well that's had an MCL, and you've got these guys coming in that are maybe coming off injuries.
Well, I don't think you can crack a ligament. Either you tear it or you stretch it or something like that. So there could be something like that.
Theory, they put medical phrases into a bag and picked 3 out.
Yes, you like it.
Very, very possible.
Hey, there's somebody at the door. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Come on, there's somebody at the door. Oh, there's somebody at the door.
It's only Zachary Adam Meisenheimer.
How's it going?
I'm going to keep this going until anyone actually understands what's going on here.
So then someone's at the door. But
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll just do it for everyone.
You
The
should.
people that's out there doing
There
the
are a
dying,
lot of
dying
people out
fly
there.
in this
What
there.
are they doing stretches out there?
It's
What's
our
going on?
entourage.
It's
We
an
brought our
entourage.
posse with us.
So I didn't miss anything, right?
No, nothing at all. We are talking about someone that you're very fond of, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts? Are you going to call him Fredy Montero now?
Well, I want to sit down and have a chat. And
With me or with him?
No, with you. We talk all the time. We were hopefully going to sit down and have a chat, and so hopefully that can happen now.
Cool. Well, scoring is definitely a concern so far. I know it's early days, it's only pre-season. We talked about it right off the start of the show. There's been 3 pre-season matches, and the only goal was a late header from David Norman. Jordi Reyna got 1 in a scrimmage, but that was against Whitecaps defenders. I don't know if that counts. Ardays, Montero, neither of them's arrived yet. Does that mean we're looking at Jordi Reyna starting up front, or is Theo Bair going to get a dream MLS debut in his first potential match in MLS?
No, he's not. I think it's going to be either Ardez or Montero, whoever's fitter at the time. They're not going to start with Reyna at the middle at all.
Yeah, if I had to guess, Montero starts and maybe Bear comes on for 20 minutes at the end if it's looking okay. But
I could see Reyna starting up front with Montero and or Ardez maybe coming off for a little cameo role, depending on what's needed from the game and how fit they are deemed to be. But more importantly, how quickly they're understanding the system.
Yeah.
And you have to fancy it's going to be Montero that's probably going to click more than Ardez, but I mean, who knows?
I think Minnesota will be strong this year. That's the opening game, right?
Yeah,
so
we'll come to them in a later part.
So it could be a tricky match.
Unbeaten in pre-season.
Better than Whitecaps.
Yeah. We're winless in pre-season. One Whitecap striker, though, who is scoring, he's not here, but he's scoring.
He's still a Whitecap. He's on loan.
Yep, Anthony Blundell scored the winner for Huichipato over O'Higgins today, Octavio Rivera's old side.
Oh, I thought it was an Irish side they played.
Yeah, that's one for Joe there, O'Higgins. I'm pleased for him. He's kind of free as a bird now.
No, it's good for him to score. He needs to do that in order for the Whitecaps to,
get the actual sale.
Yeah, the sale. if they like him enough, whatever the fee was, they'll get it right away. Or else, if they don't want to pay it, somebody else will pay it. And if he keeps scoring, so it's a good thing.
It's a nice goal. The defender was...
I thought I read someone saying, it was an easy goal. It wasn't the best.
The defender
he did superb.
The defender got his footwork all wrong, but Blundell did really well to finish the near post. It was
he
really
escaped
good
from the
finish.
defender very easily.
Yeah,
it's nice to see him scoring more than just a 1-incher as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he was really set up to succeed here under Robin. We won't go into that again. We've talked about it on the show. I just hope he goes and does well for himself. But a lot of questions still as we head into this season, some of which we're going to talk about in the next part. But for me, I think the biggest one has to be, does Andy Rose fancy a chocolate digestive?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
This is something we do with every player, so you're not officially a Whitecap until you've done this on a show. Okay. So you're sitting at home at night. You decide to have a hot beverage of choice. Do you have a tea, a coffee, hot chocolate, or something else?
You know, in recent years, I've become a big coffee guy. But if we're talking about nighttime, it would have to be a nice cup of tea. Maybe a nice cup of Yorkshire tea.
And are you a biscuit fan?
I try not to, but yeah, I mean, if it's there, if I can find a digestive once or twice a week, I'm more than happy.
And do you dunk?
Of course.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much, and
Thanks
good luck
so
this
much,
season.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Andy Rose confirming he would pick a digestive. For me, that makes him a starter.
That was obvious. He's English. He's going to be picking a...
He didn't specify chocolate, but obviously you offer him a chocolate, he'd go for it.
Are you going to be calling him England's Rose, as you suggested? Is that going to be your...
I don't know where I heard that from, but it stuck in my head for years. Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Well, the Rose is more the rugby thing.
Yeah. But I heard that phrase before. I think I'll call him England's Rose. It seems kind of poetic.
It was good for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I hope you all got your roses out there, lovely people.
Does he buy roses for his wife, whose last name is presumably also Rose?
Or did she keep the famous Bradley name?
Oh, yes.
We need to find out. And we'll be back with those searching questions in part 2.
Hi, I'm Marc dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Popular culture no longer applies to me. Popular culture no longer applies to me. They stop at the top, a fashionista takes the top shop. They text the top shop. Sometimes it's hard to stop when your heart is on top of the pops. Top of the pops. I saved up so much money to spend. All I could afford is a bad weekend. And there's no reason for staying in. There's nothing on the television. Popular culture no longer applies to me. Popular culture no longer applies to me.
Popular culture no longer applies to me. Hence the Rod Hull stuff from earlier. It's not really popular culture here.
I want to say this is one of the more appropriate band shirts you've worn to the show. But hang on, I haven't seen the back. Is there anything?
No.
Okay, nothing.
I am wearing my Art Brut Popular Culture No Longer Applies to Me shirt. Now, that's not the name of the song. I think we'll maybe call this episode of the podcast this, but this is a song called Bad Weekend by Art Brut. Because, frankly, it was a bad weekend. For me. VMSL games cancelled, couldn't get to any Imperial Cup games. East Fife lost their Iron Brew Cup semi-final 2-1 to Ross County, who are top of the higher division and pushing for the Premier. We should have gone to extra time, absolutely gutted. I was planning to go home for the final. Now I have to go and watch Canada-Guinea. Or French Guinea, or whoever the hell we're playing.
And then a game I watched, surprisingly, I wasn't expecting it to be on TV. Wimbledon and Millwall.
Oh, Millwall.
I did not I turned it.
Yes.
I turned the TV on. All of a sudden, I see Wimbledon and Millwall. Where's that coming from?
Wimbledon hit the post in the opening minute and a bit, and then lost an early goal from terrible defending, and then just out the cup as well. And then Newport got beat by Man City. Not a good weekend. Yeah. Even Fonzie didn't even make it into the Bayern squad. I was just looking at you
Steve,
there.
he said it first.
Yeah, I know. Now you opened it up. Let's see.
But Kingsley Coman did get injured, so he might feature against Liverpool.
Oh,
Joe's always looking for the positives.
Yeah.
Did anyone see the Arjen Robben interview?
No. I don't like when you say Arjen and you're talking about German teams. It just
He's Dutch.
gets
He's
me all on
Dutch.
edge.
He's Dutch. Did you see where he said Liverpool's like the worst stadium he's played at or whatever, basically?
I
Really?
wasn't sure if to interpret that as I play the worst there or it is the worst stadium. Because it's a nice stadium. I mean,
It's
United
certainly not the worst stadium.
Yeah, he's played in... Well, he played for Chelsea, so...
But yeah, it was a bad weekend for me. But you know what makes a bad weekend better? The AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And we're back in this part with more Whitecaps chat.
I have a question for you, Michael.
Okay.
If two teams play a match of football in the woods and no one's there to see it, did they really play a match?
If you got highlights, yes.
Yes. Did anyone periscope it? Who was playing in the woods? Is this the Whitecaps by any chance? I thought they were playing in a floodplain or something. It's just in Delta if they wanted to do that.
It's a water polo.
Yeah. I'm feeling very Canadian tonight. I might not look at it, but I'm feeling very Canadian tonight. I brought a butter tart with me to eat. Isn't that a Canadian thing?
I have no idea.
Oh, my wife told me they were Canadian.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Ah.
I've never had a butter tart, so I don't know.
She might have told you that just to make you use it.
Yeah.
I can't have any more butter.
Combines two of my favourite thing, butter and tarts. I can't go wrong with that. Anyway, Whitecaps chat now. The Whitecaps were back in action in the woods, or Carson, or wherever it ended up being played in the end. Saturday afternoon, the original game in some county park, as you do, called off warthogs on the pitch, I believe. Ended up, they said, look, we have to get this showpiece game on somewhere, but we don't want to film it because we don't want people to know exactly what we're doing for the season to come and blow everyone away. 0-0 draw.
I think there was...
What did you think of the highlights?
Well,
I only saw one highlight.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
The bear.
It reminds me of
Oh, it was
early
George.
early days MLS. Like, I went to Philly for the first Whitecaps away game, and like,
What did you see?
No, absolutely not. There was the training. The training was literally in parks. Like, we rolled up to Philly training.
It's like Dazzle talked about old Mrs.
Yeah,
whatever.
no, but we rolled up to Philly training, and the PR person from Philly came over to us and said, "Sorry, this is a closed session. You're gonna have to leave." And we looked around, and we're like, "Okay, yeah, sure, yeah." Whatever
You know,
say.
you're in a park. I like the Whitecaps once trained down at Stanley Park. That was a fantastic.
On the rugby field there? Or
No, I was right down by the water. I've got photos of it. They were all like playing beach volleyball style keepy-uppies.
I think it was first the training was on Brocken Oval, wasn't it? And then they moved over.
I don't
No?
know. They were playing some tennisy game. I don't know what that is. I'm demonstrating.
Was that with Steve Nash?
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the Selly game. Journalist John Rojas, he was there. I don't know who he is. I just saw his tweet. He said the standouts for the Whitecaps were Reina, Felipe, and Bangura. Promising to hear about Felipe since he was pretty quiet for me in those first two games.
He was not feeling the weight of the armband, as I believe England's Rose was bearing that burden. So he was more free to express himself, maybe.
Interesting. That armband is going to be a hot potato this year.
Yeah, there really is no favourite
No,
emerging.
there isn't
yeah.
actually.
Like some people have said Felipe. I can see
I could
that.
see Henry getting it.
Yeah, but you know.
He said he would want it.
Yeah.
He said he's not going to push for it, which to me rules him out right away.
Montero?
Should be banging the... Yeah.
He's a leader, like he's an older, like senior member of the squad. I don't know why people are ruling out Tybert so quickly. He might not fit the system very well, but his role in the team...
He's probably not going to play.
Only,
that's
yeah,
why.
the problem is they brought a lot of players in that midfield. He might not get a spot anymore.
Yeah.
One of the guys though, that apparently impressed was Las Bangura, or at least he impressed while he was on the pitch. Because that's a tweet you never want to see when you're not watching the game. Bangura off, injury. It's like, oh crap. He apparently took an elbow to the face.
Which is no big deal.
All been there.
Mm-hmm. But
My wife gets quite restless.
the way that the Twitter account was giving out the information was big caps and then the information afterwards.
Yeah.
So anything sounded way more dramatic. Substitution. Like, yeah.
Was it George that came on? George McClumba come on for
65th
him.
minute or something. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
And he was the guy that whacked one off the crossbar. And Martin Santos spoke very highly of George this week at training, saying he's a guy that they've really kind of got high hopes for. We talked a little bit last week on the show about him.
He was a winger, and then what's he doing at right back? And
Yeah.
we found out that maybe he is going to be the right back.
Yes, because I did a little bit of checking out in that. For the last 6 months, they've tried to be transitioning him to a right back, and they really like what he can bring to that right back role. Same with Gabriel Escobar. He has been playing as a left back the last couple of months as well. So they're trying to see if these players will basically transition to that and fit the roles better.
So hopefully the time in the games in Hawaii didn't ruin his confidence.
Yeah, definitely not George, but yeah, Gabriel
yeah.
potentially, especially the reaction he got. Lucas Venuto saw his first brief action on the pitch as a Whitecap, so at least he's on the pitch. So that's one person that maybe is going to be in the mix for the opening thing. He hasn't played a competitive game, again according to Transfer Market, since November 11th in the Austrian Bundesliga. You have to then wonder how much fit he is going to be, and if Bangura has been learning the system and played all these pre-season games and looking impressive at times.
Yeah, Venuto, based on his Instagram, is pretty fit. He likes to take his shirt off.
Oh, another one of those.
Yes.
Ah.
Not during the game.
I do as well, but
Yeah.
we're all taking our shirts off.
I can't look away. It's just
It's so
it's like,
white, isn't it?
It's like the white light that's like you're drawing you in.
I just noticed that we're all kind of dressed up, and you have your band T-shirt on.
Yeah, I thought we were being Art Brut tonight.
Right.
Obviously not.
Steve, you look great.
Thank you.
I love that shirt and that tie.
Yeah, Steve is dressed to the nines.
Yeah, I came back from a wedding reception.
Oh.
Yeah, congratulations to the wedding couple. I'm not sure what their names are though.
Were you just wandering by? And you
No, we know
smelt some
them. We know
food?
the family, but
That's
I
what
don't
I
know
do.
them.
We've got a temple down the road from us. It's like, oh, there must be something on tonight. Let's just wander in there.
Are you reliving the plot of the Wedding Crashers?
No, I was invited. I was definitely invited. I remember seeing the invitation, and my wife said we were invited.
Are you sure it was the right wedding you were at?
But as soon as you said you want to move the show up to 10, I was like, sure. Within seconds.
Can you do it earlier?
Did you and Sam Deep dance?
No, they haven't even started the dancing. They were still doing speeches.
So you're going back for the dance
Have you
after?
left her at the wedding?
Yeah, she's there. My whole family's there.
Does she know you're
okay.
gone?
Yeah.
Are they listening to the show?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's another joke from us.
I know.
They
I was going to go there, but
they stopped the music right
I'd
now.
cut that out of the podcast. So.
They stopped the music and they're playing the podcast. They're playing the show right now.
That's what I would do at my wedding. I did explain I played Slugger's Bonnie Lassie at our wedding. Yeah, anyway. Back to Whitecaps chat. That's
Sure.
what everyone's listening for, not wedding chat, I'm
Exactly.
sure. In Bum Huang, as we are now told we have to call him, no hyphen, and he wants his Huang at the end.
But
That's what Farhan tweeted out or something.
not in those words, though.
No, that's roughly what he's meaning, though.
Yeah.
And remember, it's Huang.
Huang.
Yeah.
Huang.
Huang. Jasser Kamiri, both of them have now arrived. MDS said at training this week that as the Caps move towards Minnesota, he's wanting to go with the players that have played together and are comfortable with the system and the process and have a little bit of chemistry, which does make sense. That might, though, mean we're not going to see the strongest possible guys in that starting lineup against Minnesota.
And these are guys, the two guys you just mentioned, are guys that have never left their country before. First time playing outside their country.
Well, they might have gone for holidays.
Oh, I'm sure, but not
Brian's
played.
just back from the UAE.
Not played in a different country, in a different league, and away from his family. So I'm assuming that they will be eased into the lineup, especially Creamy, because Creamy, there's enough players ahead of him.
I know you just talked about this, but what does that mean for who plays as a center forward or the main striker? Because if that's true, does it count that someone's coming from playing in an active role in a team in a different league? But that's a little bit worrisome in one sense.
It's going to be a tasty subs bench because it's going to be all these players that we want to see really badly, and inevitably we're going to have to wait another week to see. Like I can't wait to see Huang play. Like he's going to be amazing.
He looks happy to be here.
Yes, that video they put out was very nice where he was greeting everybody and he sat down with Marc Santos. Yeah, it looked really good. It seems like a professional guy based on those quotes that you guys mentioned last week about his former team and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him because the product on the field is looked fantastic based on the highlight videos as well.
An interesting thing from the LA game and also from the last game in Hawaii, Max Crepeau started both those games in goal.
Yeah.
Should we read much into that?
Not until we see the fourth game, see who starts that. Because if McMath starts that, then you have nothing to read into.
We've got Tijuana on Wednesday and then LAFC, I think, next Saturday?
Yeah, something like that. But so we'll see who starts next game.
Yeah, because we talked about it at the time, but McMath did not look great in that second the second game in Hawaii.
He also did not look very happy in that Valentine's video they put out. No one else saw that?
I never saw that. I didn't watch it.
We talked last week about not seeing much of the high press, which Caleb Wilkins has said there was some of it.
Well, I didn't see any of it yesterday either.
No, I didn't see any either. I was completely missing. DeSantis and McMath this week, though, at training, they both talked about how in Hawaii, the initial focus was on getting the defensive things right. That's why you saw a lot of passing out the back and just getting that chemistry going. And I asked Zach McMath, having that pretty much set back four, it kind of looks off Nerwinski, Henry, Cornelius, and it looks like gyro with Levi's a little bit further up the pitch. They've played a couple of games now, so at least they've got a little bit of chemistry going, and whether it is Crepeau or McMath behind them, that should be positive. And we're not giving loads of goals up when we have our proper guys out there. Ignore the second half of that first Nagasaki game.
So you're saying California is about working on the attack?
That was what the plan was meant to be, yes. So we'll see how that goes.
So, yeah, you are correct there that they've only allowed one goal of the first team, the first halves. And obviously the Galaxy was an ultra clean sheet, so kudos to that too. So I think defensively they're right now on track, but the problem is with all teams, it seems like the attack is the thing that takes the longest to get going because it's more creativity and we're getting to know players around you. The defensive side usually kind of, if you have a good system, it'll work pretty quick.
The high press is, just making a quick list in my head, it's probably the second most comprehensive system that you could play, behind Tiki Taka probably. There's so much that goes into it. What we see on TV are the 3 players or the 4 players that close the ball down, right? But everything that happens behind that is crucial as well. So maybe they were working on that before they actually got that final piece going, because there's even different ways to play the high press.
Tiki Taka, you have to be born into that, or at a young age, in order to figure that out.
But there's a lot of different kinds of high press. You could high press where you want them to pass the ball a certain way, so that they make a mistake in that area of the field. There's the high press where you just want to win possession, right? We don't even know what kind of flavor of high press we're getting into yet.
You could perma press, steam.
What? So tell us what was said on Wednesday.
Well, we're limited in what we can say.
Oh, is it one of those?
Yeah, but you weren't allowed to film it or tweet out specifics. But we can talk a little bit about it.
Let's just go to break and then you can tell.
Marc Santos gave a chalk talk to some media. Steve and myself went along to that. It was fascinating. And someone made a joke when I was raving about it afterwards about, you've really bought into his Kool-Aid. I defy anyone to have sat through that and not come out really impressed.
I kind of disagree with that. I was going to tweet back but I didn't feel like
You
it
weren't
at the time.
impressed?
No, I was going to talk about like the initial tweet about how we drink the Kool-Aid. Rennie, I never drank the Kool-Aid with him. It was just another coach coming in.
He was like a snake salesman.
Yeah, snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
That's the term. Robbo was more.
Never trust Scots.
Robbo was more like a conversation. He was always talking and stuff like this. So it was good to talk. This one was the first time where we actually saw what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And it
he
was
brought
impressive.
out specifics from Hawaii. He showed some examples from what Chelsea playing, stuff that he wants to see. Not just he showed stuff that went wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't speak about players or specifics, but he was like, this particular thing. He showed this. He's like, this player, he did not do what I wanted him to do. That was incorrect what he did. And then they showed another thing saying, but then he learned in the second game and he did it correctly. Look where he is positioned here. And a lot of it is you're looking at 3 players behind the ball, like when it's an attack and you're defending, 3 players in the box behind the ball and 1 on the edge of the box, so that if they win the ball, the guy in the box can quickly get it, turn and start the attack. So he kept showing, as the ball was moving forward, all this kind of, it's not even a square or a rectangle, but it's like a group of 4 players.
It's a rhombus.
Yeah, and in this system, whoever's playing the number 6 role is crucial and key. So and Reece looks like that guy.
It's just like Chelsea then.
Yeah.
But Chelsea are having a terrible run of form because they shut down the number 6.
Yeah. No, also they don't have the right personnel. I mentioned the Chelsea game against Man City to MDS during the thing because I asked him about that. Is there certain teams you don't want to play the high press against? He goes, there is strategy to go with that where you might not want to enforce it totally against certain teams.
My hope is, and I like everything I've seen from MDS so far, and the fact that he's likes this kind of modern tactics is great because then he's staying on top of things. But I hope he's flexible. I really do, because Mauricio Sarri at Chelsea is not flexible.
Yeah,
that was a big. I have that worry as well.
Like, if we're losing, will he switch it to like throw a couple of strikers up, like that kind of thing? And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but like, if he believes in the system way more than he believes in anything else, there's a danger in that.
But he did in that show where in the same kind of setup, he showed that there was 2 strikers up top and only 1 striker up top. So he showed that in the way it was like basically the same lineup or the same part of the field.
So Arise is supposed to be Jorginho. Right.
Yeah. Arise is going to be one of their key guys. And another thing, like when Steve asked the question about would you, depending on who you're playing and stuff, I followed that up with, if you think about some players in MLS, they play right on the shoulder. DeVio from Montreal was a great example of that. He was offside so much, but he got so many goals because he just played right on the edge. And without me saying, I'm concerned about Daniil Henry, I said, you've got maybe your centre-backs right at the halfway line. Some of them might struggle defending against a player like that. And he said, yeah, but you have to believe in the process. So that then worries me in that regard a little bit.
He did say he would adjust depending on the strikers that he would be playing against.
But he still said you believe in the process. And he said, at home, attacking football is the only thing. He said that is non-negotiable. You attack when you're playing at home.
I agree with that. But MLS is such a tactically unevolved league. Like, how many systems are there in, like, how many teams are famous for systems? Like, RSL had a system for a few years. Atlanta have a system, but they're 2 years old, right? Like, you kind of know what you're going to get with New York Red Bulls because of Bradley Wright Phillips, and like, managers come and go and they're fluid. They play a 4-4-2 if they can't think of anything else. Like, this isn't I don't know, like, sometimes the system isn't the most important thing, especially in a league like ours. If it was a cutting edge league where you have the greatest minds of the world coming together, it's kind of a different story. But we
have that here tonight, so we're okay.
Yeah, I think MLS is a personnel limited league. You want to play these good systems, but I don't know if the talent matches up with the ideas, in some sense.
But that has to be. And I'm not saying this is the time to do this, but ultimately then you're judging MDS on who he's brought in, because he's been given literally a clean slate.
Oh yes,
right.
Yeah, and he's blowing the team up.
The more I hear people using the expansion word, we're an expansion team again. It's embarrassing that because it's coming from them. Like, they're putting this out there. They want to lower the expectations when that's 9-10 years in or whatever.
Yeah.
This should never be the case. But he is building a team. So if he's going to hold to the system, he's the one bringing in the players, aside from maybe some designated player control. But he's the one bringing in the players. So if they don't actually fit that system, then he needs to be answerable.
I think he will.
Exactly. The thing is, again, I'll say this again because you mentioned it last week. They say they're an expansion team, but they say there's no reason why they can't succeed being an expansion team, considering there's other expansion teams that have succeeded.
I agree with Zach. Like, if MDS's system works out and he comes here and changes the team, which is what we all want, I think. We all want the team that can play a system like properly, and we know what we're going to get game to game, and not be surprised every time the starting lineup comes out and trying to wonder what formation is being played. Like, I want that to happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being a cynic just for being a cynic's sake, but part of me is worried because maybe of what we've experienced in the past with these weird systems that we've tried.
We'll have a little bit more Whitecaps chat and MLS chat in general in part 3, and we'll ask how you guys are all feeling heading into the season. But I'm going to kick things off now with the first of 2 wavelengths that we have tonight. Both of them about English goalkeeper Gordon Banks. Banks passed away this week, aged 81. But yeah, he passed away, and even though he was English, I have to tip my hat. He was one of the best goalkeepers of that era. Fantastic goalkeeper. Everyone remembers that save he had. Well, not remember. You might have seen the save he had in the 1970 World Cup against Pele. Fantastic guy. So this is the first of 2 Wavelength songs, and this one is in French. It's from a group called La Ruda Salska, and this is La Parade de Gordon Banks.
J'y repense. Il n'est jamais très long le chemin qui ramène à l'enfance. Maintenant tu bois tout ton saoul, tourbillon et valse violence, et tu t'envoies par le fond à enquêtement des tapitants, et lentement tu coules à parler à ton ombre, juré par le ciel que la vie est la plus belle de toutes les putains. Pour un peu qu'on allonge, combien de temps cela fait polo que je ne t'ai revu, merde je n'en sais rien. Combien de temps que sous le manteau tu as vendu tes rêves avec un peu des miens. Non, je n'ai pas les mots. Tout ce qui me revient c'est le cri des préaux. On les voyait en nous, anglais, brésiliens, Mexico, Chersigno. Une foule et les reporters en transe. Chersigno, qui sont trop pompelés, tout à coup les mosses. La parade de Gordon Banks. Jamais vraiment su en fait qui était cet homme-là, mais Dieu sait s'il en a vu rejouer des coupes du monde sur son trottoir. Maintenant tu bois tout ton plein, tu les regardes, ta langue pendant ton vin, tu souris dans ta barbe. Tu les imagines heureux, ces deux cons au fond de la salle, et que je te tripote les cheveux. Tu voudrais renverser la table, papa fumera près du feu, et maman fera du gâteau, une tripotée de morveux, qui sera leur fierté bientôt. Tu aimerais leur dire que ça finira, tu aimerais leur dire mais faudrait que tu te lèves. Tu as beau les maudire, pisser dans les draps, mais déjà tu transpires, t'en lécher les lèvres. Non, je n'ai pas les mots. Ce dont je me souviens, c'est Platini Zico qui rentrait au vestiaire quand ta mère disait fin, Mexico. Jarzinho, une foule qui nous ressortait du vent. Jarzinho, qui sont tout pour peler l'épaule en rampe. On parlait d'excellence, on rêvait d'excellence à l'épaule en rampe. La parade de Gordon Banks.
La Ruda Salska with their tribute, well, it wasn't a tribute at the time, but their song about Gordon Banks and the game in Brazil, against Brazil in 1970. I don't speak any French, so I have no idea what was said there. Read the lyrics, and it was about football.
We played the content warning at the beginning of the show, so we're fine.
It was good dancing.
Yeah.
Good skanking there.
French ska. Anyway, we'll be back with some more Rod Hull chat after this.
Hi, I'm Daniel Henry, and you are listening to AFTN.
Halfway up the Wrekin with an empty flask of tea. A fog descends and takes away my visibility. Yet in this Helen Keller state, I'd still quite like to know why is Rod Hull alive and getting paid as well. And I wonder if they'll bring back National Service and the bench. And I wonder, but I doubt, if they will ever bring back the Watney Cup.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. That was our Artists of the Month, Half Man, Half Biscuit there, with Rod Hull is Alive. Why? Song about Rod Hull. We mentioned him in part 1. The somebody at the door thing. Rod Hull was a children's entertainer that had a puppet emu on his arm that he used to use to attack people with. Died in tragic circumstances. He fell off his roof fixing his television aerial in a storm. Rest in peace, Rod. Mentioned the Watney Cup there in that song, because obviously Half Man, Half Biscuit have all their football songs. We've played them in Wavelengths. They have a lot of other football references in their songs. Now, the Watney Cup, folk here won't really know what that was. It was played between 1970 and 73. Interesting competition. All 4 English divisions, they had the 2 highest scoring teams in each division that had not been promoted or qualified for Europe playing this pre-season tournament. I'd like to see that here with maybe the teams from the USL playing a couple of teams from MLS, maybe throw in MPSL, PDL as well. That'd be a fascinating little mix.
Yeah. What would you call the cup?
Parallel 49 Cup, obviously, because Watney was a beer.
I was thinking Patient Zero Cup.
Oh, yes. They have to go with Patient Zero. Yeah. I was going to play Problem Chimp in this show, but we'll keep that for next week.
Patient Zero.
Anyway, since we're all here tonight, hey, the gang's all here, I thought we'd discuss a kind of preview of sorts for the MLS season. We're 2 weeks out, so what the hell, let's start. And I want to start. Give me a one-word answer for this. Let's do one of Joe's kind of preview things here. In one word, how are you feeling about the Whitecaps heading into the season opener?
Timid.
Excited at the end of the day.
Apprehensive, I'm going to go for. So similar to timid Steve.
Uncertain.
Oh. So 1 bit of positivity, 3...
He's younger than all of us.
That's true.
It's also a preview show policy to be positive.
He is my son.
Yeah. He's been through less than us.
Yes. Because I've not been here to bring him up.
What parenting perspectives or methods has Michael passed on to you in your new role as a parent?
Stay away from people flinging food. It's a good one.
And also, let the kid watch anything they want. It's totally fine. It's an education. Especially 70s sitcoms, different times. So back to talking about MLS. There's been some action from the clubs, as you'd expect, around the league. In the West, though, there's not been a massive amount of big names really brought in.
It's a lot of the clubs that missed the playoffs. They are the ones
They've
that
been
are
very
active,
active, as you'd expect.
Yeah. The ones up top are kind of staying neutral. They're actually losing a little bit because Sporting lost Opara. And then you got other teams. The Galaxy really haven't done much. LAFC haven't done much. So
Dallas have been pretty quiet as well.
yeah.
They
They did trade Rudy.
Did Lag? Yeah, that's key for Montreal. Did Lag solve? I know they have they're on the clock and they have till March 1st. But have they solved their four DPs?
Not yet.
The league hasn't changed rules or
no,
anything?
but
No new
there's
napkins?
going to be a meeting of the MLS officials, I think, this week to discuss restructuring Giovanni Dos Santos' contract, which would basically mean they've still got 4 DPs.
What a joke.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the 6 teams that made the playoffs last season, KC won the West, and it was Seattle, LAFC, Dallas, Portland, RSL. 7 teams make it to the big show this season. Of those 6, which of those do you feel, and there could be more than one, which of those do you feel are not going to be in the postseason this year?
I got 2. I got RSL and Dallas. I think the other 4 teams are, I don't know, sure bets, but they're pretty good bets to make it. Maybe not in that order, but they're definitely good bets to make it.
RSL, I agree with. I'm trying to think of it in terms of which teams will get overtaken by but as we've said, there's not a lot of transfer activity.
Yeah.
I think LAFC could have a second season slump.
That's true.
Of sorts.
That happens.
But that's the only 2 I can think of. They're very strong there, like Kansas and Seattle, and I think Portland just had a bad start last year. Otherwise, they would have been up there too.
And Vela will be disappointed with his lack of move to Barcelona, so that could have an effect.
I could potentially see the Goats in LA having a slow start to the season, but there's no way with how they've set themselves up and who they have there running the show, both in the managerial role and the owners, that they would let that go a whole season. So I think I could see them potentially starting slow. I'm not necessarily saying they will, but I could see them starting the first half not being what they'd like, but they would do all they could to sort it out in the midway point.
They could struggle because of the MDS effect. They lost them.
But there's also an extra spot now.
Yeah,
so it really opens the game.
That does help.
Yeah.
The RSL one,
RSL's definitely one that you feel,
but
it's likely to drop.
Something's got to have to happen. Like something's going to have to happen to Petke in order for him to have a meltdown, and then that'll get the team
spur
going.
them.
Yeah.
Last year, Trey, the handies out, that guy Trey. Do you know who?
Yes.
He left the club. So I don't think they'll have the same mojo around that team.
No, the thing with RSL, they got in, and this is my way of looking at it, but they got in because the teams below them couldn't get their stuff together to actually get in there. Like you think about Vancouver, was it 2 points or 3 points with a guaranteed?
2 points off. LA Galaxy were 1 point back.
3 points with a guaranteed, right?
And LA Galaxy had it in their hands, I think, going into that last game.
And they fumbled it.
They blew it.
Yeah. So, I don't know that'll happen again where RSL can take advantage of that, and I don't know if they're going to have what it takes to just own a spot themselves.
We're the conference of incompetence, like people stumbling over each other to miss the playoffs.
It was so weird. Dallas, like Steve said, Dallas, I could see them struggling.
I don't think we mentioned the show, but Fernando Cavillo passed away.
Yes, I know. We never mentioned that last week.
That could have lots of implications in Dallas. That
I did the latest extra podcast this week, which was a look at what additions other teams have made. We always talk about the Whitecaps rebuild, and so I looked at what other pieces other teams have added, or the first part of 2 parts. Dallas have only added 4 players.
Okay, so
and one of them is a homegrown, another homegrown, like a 24th homegrown or something.
I can't remember if we've talked about this much in the past, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I'll say it anyways, because I think I've heard multiple people talk about this now, not just one. But one of the things about how Dallas has run, and a benefit for them, but a problem for them, has been that Cavillo's son's agency has been their primary agent, right?
Oh, yes.
And so,
I remember reading about that.
So this caused a lot of problems when, what's his name? Castillo. When Castillo wanted to leave.
There was about 4 wanted to leave that summer.
So Castillo wanted to leave, and then it didn't work out. And then it was that year or the next year when they were making the run they'd won the Supporter Shield, and they were making the run to. They'd won like 2 of the cups, the Supporter Shield and the Cup, and they were making the run in the playoffs, and the team just imploded. It was because I think players are like, we're trapped here. We're not being able. Our buddies have not been able to move for what and where they thought was reasonable, and I don't want to be here, kind of thing. Maybe not in that strong language, Steve, and so they kind of stopped playing. Kind of is what happened there. So. It'll be interesting to see, does that agency now still have kind of control over what's going on there, or will things change that, or what happens? Because that's a significant off-field thing. I know people in Vancouver like to talk about their perspectives on the Carl Robinson era. This was similar to people's perceptions of the Carl Robinson era, but I think to a different level.
Yeah, and even when it's a family relation as well, it makes it even a little bit more complicated. But there's still obviously time for a lot of these teams to make some big additions, because the transfer window's open till May. It's just roster compliance is March 1st.
Yeah.
As long as they're compliant, they can then do what they want after that, to an extent.
Mix and match, yeah.
Caps were 8th last year, LA were 7th, the Galaxy. Then you had Houston, Minnesota, Colorado, San Jose. Last year, I said, no way the Galaxy's going to miss out 2 years running. They did. They're not going to miss out again, surely. They've got Zlatan signed up now, so you know that he's there for the season, unless somebody comes in with some wild offer for him in the summer. You never know. They're trying to renegotiate Giovanni Dos Santos. There's always scope, and they're always an attractive city for adding a big name, which never seems to get paid more than a couple of $100,000, which is always miraculous. Yeah. They've added Charlotto as head coach. Great experience. They're linked just now with a number of South American players. Surely they'll be in the top 7. Surely they'll be in one of these teams that's in the playoffs.
Yeah, Charlotto is the key because of his connections. I think because of what everyone knows of him as a player, the way he played, and also what he's done as a coach as well. But I wonder how much, because we talked about last year how much Ziggy, when he came in. Again, another MLS guy who passed away. But when Ziggy came in, he couldn't do anything. His hands were tied by how Bruce Arena had spent all their money and all their GAM and all their TAM and whatever else. Like, he'd spent everything to always try and win, and then it was like the league would always kind of accommodate them by giving them more. And I think Ziggy didn't have the room. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these players he wants to bring in that he can bring in. Because you can't bring in a DP difference maker there because you have 4, and you're trying to keep one just to, I don't know why, to sell shirts or I don't know what, but because they both the Dos Santos brothers have not performed well and should be gone, right? Or should be moved on. But it's MLS, so it's harder.
They have kept him, but obviously there is a big Mexican fan base.
Yeah, but you don't even need both of them because they have the same last name, so you can sell the same number.
Remember, is Alessandrini still there?
Remain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. He's the 4th one.
Yeah, so that's
there was no Lexit.
Of those 4 of those teams that missed the playoffs, it's funny thing though, the 3 that I saw the most improvement is Minnesota, Colorado, and San Jose.
Yeah, because Houston's not done much.
No, Houston's done nothing. They spent all their time trying to keep Elise in the lineup.
Yeah, Minnesota are looking very solid. Yeah. They've signed very well.
Minnesota
defensively, they look a whole different animal this year.
That was their biggest problem, defensive side.
Yeah. Bring in Alonso to be like marshal that.
If he can stay healthy, though, that's the key thing with Alonso. Opara as well. Like, one guy's not suddenly going to turn a defense around when you've also got like Michael Boxall there.
No, but I think he can because you.
But he can help. Certainly.
Yes, the responsibility is on.
Yeah,
like,
but he can't do it all himself.
No, I know, but he gives confidence to everybody else because they know they have a defensive player of the year on the lineup.
I said in the extra podcast, I think Colorado could be a dark horse to make the playoffs. I just like some of the additions. Kamara gonna get goals.
Feilhaber.
Benny Feilhaber, Keegan Rosenberry,
Nico Mosqueda.
Kellen Acosta starts the whole season with them.
Although does he really want to be there?
If they can keep hold of him.
Yeah. Colorado, there's people there now who would be happy for them to do well. I still see them it's hard for them to do well, partly because of Tim Howard. I think it's not just his age and his ability. I think there's an intangible there when you know you have a person that is in a role that he maybe shouldn't have been. Is it? And well, they brought in Irwin to be his backup, so they're still going to have a good backup.
I mean, Irwin could
take over the role, but that won't happen.
No, this
barring
is his
injury.
Retirement.
Yeah, this is his he's doing his Landon Donovan lap of honor of MLS.
Yeah.
Expect gifts. Prepare your gifts. So I don't think Colorado is going to leap out of there, out of the bottom. Though a couple. I mean, Houston is always interesting to me because I know they're not. I can't remember if they're designated players or not, but that dynamic 3 attacking players. I think that they're always interesting. Yeah. They can be awful, they can be great, but they're always interesting.
They can always score. It's whether they can keep the ball out the net.
Yeah. The one I'm interested to see is how Matias Almeida does in San Jose. Here's a coach that won the CONCACAF Champions League with the goats, the mother goat, and or the mother goats. It's plural, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, I think, what he can do because San Jose. I think San Jose ownership has a similar approach to the Whitecaps ownership, and so it'll be interesting to see what he can do, if he can get more, if the sum of the whole is better than the sum of the individual parts there.
San Jose will definitely be interesting to watch because that's one of the most exciting coaching additions in terms of a big name. The only other insight I can offer is: have you seen how close San Jose's airport is to the?
Yeah. Yes.
I landed in San Jose in December, and I opened my window, and the stadium was right there. I was so shocked.
Yeah, I've been to the stadium, and that was one of the first things. I was just like, "This is across from the airport. This is not great for wind. This is not great for
noise."
But it's runway, fence, stands. Like it's exactly like that.
Well, there's a street in between.
Can you hear the airplanes as the game goes on?
The ultras aren't that loud.
No, because the away end is towards the airport there, so it was crazy windy the day I was there, and it was cold, and it was April, I think, so it wasn't.
I've not been to the new stadium. I've been
to Buckshaw.
Been to Buckshaw. Been to 49ers Levi Stadium, which I would have liked to have been a lot closer to the airport, but it sadly wasn't. It's a bugger to get to, and if you go from San Francisco to there by bus, getting out of that stadium after the game is 2 hours to get out the car park.
Well, the day I went to San Jose, even because San Jose won, I think we all got free Taco Bell or something. Oh. So we all went to the local Taco Bell, and the staff there was not happy to see all these people coming to the game. One of the workers there closed the store, shut off the lights before closing time because they were so not impressed.
Wow.
But anyways, San Jose. I'm not excited for San Jose, but I'm interested to see what Matias does.
So Whitecaps, a yay or a nay? Do we make the playoffs, or where do you see us finishing?
Playoffs.
I'll say playoffs.
I'll say not playoffs. Partly to be different, but partly because I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close, or it's not going to be.
I say playoffs, but 6th or 7th. It's going to be tight, and it's going to keep us guessing right to the end.
So who are the teams that are finishing below them?
RSL, Houston.
Dallas.
I'm going to say Minnesota, but you never know. San Jose, I'm going to say as well, and Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh yeah, the one more spot they could get that. Yeah.
It's going to be tight.
I'm not convinced that they'll make it yet, but it's early days, right?
Yeah.
This is not. You're gonna hold me to this like the Addy thing, right?
No. But you are picking him again.
Did you see? Of course. Did you see him and Maddox?
Him and Maddox. Dynamic duo.
He's getting ready.
Well, let's move briefly onto these. We won't go into that too much. Maybe delve into that a little bit more next week. I might get Jonathan Tannenwald on the phone during the week and get him to preview the
He
East
could talk
with us.
about it for 20 minutes.
FC Cincinnati. How do you see them faring as this expansion team?
Top of the table.
Whitecaps Light, do you want to call them?
No, that's a terrible name.
Cincinnati Whitecaps? Go with that?
No. Yeah, obviously, there's so many ties there from on the field to off the field that I hope they do well for those people. There's a lot of people ragging on them. I've seen a lot of people being like,
they've made some weird financial moves.
But we don't know how much
they've got a lot of money.
Yeah, we don't know how much.
They had a lot of positivity until that Hagelin trade, and then it all went downhill after that. People are still ragging on them on the Hagelin trade.
But Haglund, it makes some sense. I know it was too much money.
No sense.
The money is too much, but bringing in Haglund himself makes sense to me for them. I hope that they overachieve because I think a lot of people have extremely low expectations, and I hope they'll overachieve.
I don't think it's going to end well for them. The two financial moves are really kind of that I think you were alluding to, Michael, was the Haglund trade and the draft picks from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
And then they signed all their draft picks. Or
Yeah, and
like
they
that.
started loaning them out to these. Not even just the one USL team. They're going around USL.
Yeah, like I don't get that. Like, there's two ways to go about it. There's the LAFC way, which is like Moneyball, and then there's these guys. Like I know we have an affinity towards the coaching team because they were. The Whitecaps
That's my concern. Like, if they flop this year, I don't see Allen surviving that.
Yeah, but their fan base is very supportive, and I think there'll be an air of positivity there that probably the team can ride. And home games in MLS are
and that stadium, Nippert Stadium, the atmosphere they've generated during USL was amazing.
But that's one of the problems. Their MLS stadium is smaller, is it not?
Yes.
And they can't fit as many people in.
Yes.
But so it's a one problem because you're losing money, you're losing income revenue. But on the other side, it hopefully should keep the stadium full and exciting.
But then again, Orlando had that as well.
True, and they haven't succeeded.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That is disappointing what's happened to them.
Do you see anyone stopping Atlanta in the East this year?
Oh, for sure. They're not.
For sure.
Yeah, Almiron's gone, man. I don't know how long.
Martinez is their key.
Yeah, but
banging the goals.
Somebody's got to get them ball.
Okay,
to Martinez. And it was Almiron that was doing it before.
De Boer's last team, I think, his last team was Crystal, didn't score a goal before he was fired.
Yeah, he could mess them all up, man.
He was terrible at Rangers.
Was he at Rangers?
Or was that his brother? One of the De Boers was at Rangers.
He was great at Ajax, and that's all the Atlanta fans want to talk about. Ajax. And then, like, his managerial record since then has been quite poor, especially Crystal Palace. Like, I know Atlanta's built on their attack, but like Crystal Palace couldn't score with Loftus-Cheek and Zaha and back in those days. And
there's always a regression to the median. Like, they were so high last year that they could easily like Martinez. Is he going to be able to score that many goals again? Can they figure him out? Can somebody figure him out?
Did you say back in those days? Was it not like last year he was there? Beginning of last season?
I think it was 2017 he was there, no?
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think it was beginning like the September or whatever, the August, September.
He played at Rangers.
Yeah, he played at Rangers. That's what
I'm thinking.
And you didn't like him then? That was the end of his career.
Like Rangers.
That was the end of his career.
Yeah, 15 games.
He doesn't like Rangers anyway.
The Martinez thing, it comes down to whether or not they can make VAR work properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're going to get as many favourable VAR decisions this year. That will be a key
But
for them.
the key will be how Pitti and Barco do in replacing Almiron, right?
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, and they find it.
And they do have some guys to replace. Like, did they really replace Garza?
No.
They have a young guy, don't they?
Oh, Breck Shea.
Oh, yeah, Breck. Who gave an interesting interview with The Athletic this week, I believe. I haven't read it because I can't get access to it. But from the quotes that were put out, criticised Robbo for not really wanting to play football.
That's
lines up,
pot
really.
calling the kettle black.
He's like, it's not my fault that we didn't want to play football. Otherwise, I would have scored those open goals.
But he played at Stoke for years. He
Exactly.
hasn't been playing football for ages.
He wasn't able to do it on a Tuesday night in wet Stoke.
Yeah, he wasn't able to do it any day in Stoke.
No.
I mean, he could have been. His form could have been so much better last year in Vancouver if he'd not missed so many sitters.
Well, he was also missing his little pet armadillo Dalton. So there you go.
So any dark horses you see in the East?
Black Beauty?
I don't think he was in the East.
He was on the Western Front, actually.
No.
How about Philly?
Oh, actually, yeah, they have made a couple of interesting additions.
Yeah. I kind of like Philly, not just because we're going to talk to... we could ask him next week.
Yeah, we'll get Jonathan's rundown.
Yeah, but I see Philly... Montreal could surprise, too, because they got some additions
What about this really crappy team from last year in the East, Toronto FC?
I don't think so. I think they're actually
Champions
worse.
League will kill them.
You think they can be worse? Actually, yeah.
They're going to be worse. They lost Vasquez and Giovinco.
Maybe the Revolution. I don't know. That's the only team that I can really think of. like Brad Friedel, he's still in
Yeah,
charge,
no,
right?
I don't mind Friedel.
He's a nice guy,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah.
But didn't they sell somebody for Fagundes? Did they sell Fagundes
No.
or somebody else? Kellen Rowe.
They tried to sell Fagundes.
They got rid of
or
Calderon, though.
rather, Fagundes wanted to go.
Yeah.
Brad Friedel played at that ground that Arian Robin didn't like, Anfield.
Oh. Wrapping this section up, get some bold predictions very quickly. Who's going to win the West?
I will go with Portland.
Kansas.
Do we have to say different? I probably would have said Kansas City.
I'm
But
going to go
the
Portland as well.
Okay, well let's.
Who wins?
Kansas to Portland.
Who wins the East?
Atlanta.
Red Bulls.
NYFCC.
I'll go with Atlanta as well.
Was that Cincinnati? Is that what you
No,
said?
New York City FC.
MLS Cup finalists and your MLS winner.
I will say. Oh no, who was I going to say? Oh, you guys go first.
Actually, you know who we didn't talk about because we shouldn't, because we hate them, but is Seattle. Jordan Morris is back, like fully fit, I think, and rare. Like
For now.
You're saying he's fully fit, but we've seen injuries like that where it takes almost like another
True.
half year. Before
My understanding is he's fit for the season. I could
One
be wrong.
David Norman tackle on him. That's him.
That's true. They could. They know how to
Yeah.
get things done. Unfortunately, I
I'm gonna
can see them.
Schmetzer seems to get them going just when he needs to.
They got a full season of Rui Diaz. I think I heard talk that they were trying to bring someone else in too. But I think a full season of Rui Diaz. You got Jordan Morris back. I could see them. I could see them making another run. I don't want that, obviously.
I see in the MLS Cup. I'll start off again. LAFC and Red Bulls, and I'll say the MLS Cup gets wings.
I'm going a repeat. Portland Atlanta, but with Portland winning.
At home?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be. Can you
Just because you want to go, that's what
You're masticating into the mic.
Sorry.
Just so you know.
You should make sure we
You get a press pass.
everybody
He's
else.
trying to say
yeah,
get a press
yes.
pass.
That would be
We'll get you taking pictures on the pitch again.
awesome. I got my long lens ready.
I'm down between. I'm not sure about the West. Maybe Kansas or Seattle. I think, and I think the Red Bulls will win. Will win the MLS Cup this year.
I almost said I agree with you, Joe, and then you mentioned Dead Bull. I think Kansas City or Seattle as well. I think one of those two. Well, Kansas City, the big question mark is how are they going to replace Iko Para? But and then from the East,
They do have Johnny Russell.
I think Atlanta's going back, and I think Atlanta's going to win again.
The reason I thought Portland, we're going to come to in the next part when we look at some of the MLS news of the week. And we're also going to take a look at some CPL news and Canadian Championship.
Hello, I'm Nick Datsvich. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Yeah. It's the return of the wild style fashionist. Smashing hits, make it hard to adapt to this. Put pizzazz and jazz in this. The cash in this. Master this, blast this, and make a clap to this. DJs throw on cuts and obey the crowd. Just pump the volume up and play it loud. Hip hop's embedded. Before I said I wouldn't let it, but me and the microphone is still magnetic. Straight off the top, I knew I'd be forced to rock. Dance floors to stock, spot scorching hot. Hoping I open, rocking my law seminars, massage at the bar, smoking 10-hour cigars while I admire meaties. With more vision than TVs, I find it easy catching diabetes from fly sweeties. Sit back and wait to hear slam and track. Rock a jam by popular demand. I'm back. I control the crowd. You know I hold it down. When you drop, you know it's jiggy when you hear the sound. From town to town until it's world renowned. I rock New York City all year round.
Guess who's back? It's the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. That was Rakim.
One of the better rappers out there. He's no Mad Hat McGore, but
No, I was listening to some Mad Hat this afternoon. He'll be featured soon again, don't worry. Any reason you picked that song?
well,
Or is it
Montero
just for Fredy?
Montero's going to be back, and
Yes.
there's a certain somebody that's also coming back for another few years.
Yes, and I'm sure we're all pleased to see Uncle Don Garber sticking around as Commissioner of MLS until 2023 at the very least. I think he'll be here until he's in his 90s.
Yeah, there's something about commissioners of leagues that they
They
seem
don't
to
want
live
to leave.
forever.
Yeah, they don't leave.
Well, you guys were at
Must
that.
be the money.
You guys were at that Q&A thing he did a few years ago, right?
No, I wasn't there. I think Michael was there.
I was.
I walked out of there liking him, and on the SkyTrain home, I ended up hating him. Like, I ended up wondering why that happened. He answered his questions very eloquently, I thought.
Yeah.
But I guess he's like one of those,
He's
smooth
very
talkers.
politician with his answers.
You used the term with Martin Reddy.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not a fan. I mean, I don't hate everything he's done, but yeah, not a fan.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. He's been with the league since '99. There's no doubt that he's seen it grow in that time, year upon year. And I first saw my first ever MLS game, I think it was '97. And looking at what it was like then, I went to a game at LA Galaxy against Dallas Burn, Western Conference Final, Pasadena Rose Bowl. And then you look at what the league's like now compared to fans, product, just everything. It's just so different. And he's overseen that. He's seen finances grow, although they're always kind of pleading poverty and they can't afford to pay the players that much. He's 61 now. He's going to be 65 or 66 when the contract is up. Has he been good for the league as a whole, or has he just been good for the owner's pockets?
Well, this is a bit of, like MLS itself, a shell game. You can't fully know what he's done because we don't know about how much money Sun makes and how much it gives to its partners, which are the owners of the MLS clubs. So I would say for the owners, he's done great because, yeah, like you said, he's kept costs down on the player side, and he must have increased revenue. We talked about it last week with Joey Saputo's comments.
Yeah,
this is a very cynical way when you see these sides coming out publicly and saying, "Oh, we can't afford. We need public money for this. We can't afford that." Blah blah blah. This is the picture, and they're only painting you half of the picture. Only the football ops of what they're really making as being a part of the overall MLS scheme of things. So I think you have to say he's been great for the owners. Otherwise, he wouldn't be back.
That's who's basically renewed
Totally.
him too, right? So
and the other thing that's awkward is, though, he's kept on saying, "Oh, I won't be around at 24 teams. I won't be around at 28 teams." Well, obviously, we know now he's going to be around 28 teams. He'll probably be around till 32 teams. And you hope if they don't actually do a proper structure by then that he's, that
I imagine he's going to get cryogenically frozen.
Like Walt Disney?
Kind of strikes me as someone that will do that. Thaw him out in 100 years. He'll be overseeing the 1,000-team MLS.
Having said that, I agree with you that when he came along, the league was not in a good place, right? They contracted and all that kind of stuff, right? So he has brought some health instability, and so I don't mean to take away from that from my comments, which will sound negative, but when you look at going forward and you look at what's best for everything overall, is he the best? I don't think so. Is he the best for the owners? I think so. Because you're right. There is a strike coming in MLS next. I know the referees got out of it, or whatever, pro referees, quotation marks. But the players next bargaining thing.
I hope they do. They get the deal that
they have to take a stand.
Yeah,
they have to take a stand because they got the short end of the stick the last time.
And I think that's maybe why they're bringing Garber back, because of that fact that there is going to be some labor turmoil, and he's got experience with that. He can deal with it, and he can also deal with the public as well, because he can sell whatever he wants to the public as long as he's making the owners happy and making the owners money. He's going to stay at that position. That's the only thing. People complaining about him, people doing this. And remember, he's almost like the punching bag for everybody because he's keeping the owners clean. He's the one that's taking all the hits, and that's what the owners want as well.
For me, I think this was the ideal chance to bring in a new face with fresh ideas, just a whole new direction. And it's kind of disappointing for me that they've missed this opportunity for at least another 4 years.
I knew you'd want a new direction.
Yeah. Moving on to some player news. Kakuta Mane sliding back into our MLS DMs.
Scootering on in.
Shuffling.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the other Cincy player I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't stay away for long.
No.
Went to Swiss side. What was it?
St. Holland.
Yeah. Oh, is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
And he played in Liga MX.
I could be wrong.
Didn't he, or?
Yeah. Well, he was in Liga MX. I don't know about.
He was on a roster.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Cincinnati and their funny deals that they're doing. They gave Columbus 250,000 in TAM, 50,000 in GAM, with another 50,000 of each if incentives are met, just to get his MLS rights. Ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's like you said before. If they spent that much on Hagelin, I think they spent more on Hagelin, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if they spent that much on Hagelin, that's actually pretty much a steal at this point.
Like, there's no way Columbus wanted him back either.
No.
Like,
I know Columbus will be like, oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Didn't Columbus sell like international spot for 175 or something?
Yeah, to Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
I think that was the team.
Yeah,
They're
they're
getting
great.
They're great. Yeah.
But that's Bezbachenko.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there.
Very true.
Kakuta, again, you have someone in Allen who knows Kakuta personally.
Yeah.
So, again.
Will feel he can get the best out of him.
Exactly. So, and Kakuta will feel like, yeah, I know this guy, whatever. But Kakuta has some significant challenges to overcome. Some that were masked, left out of the public discussion here, that, you know, hopefully aren't issues for him anymore. But they could be.
Well, hopefully
but Allen,
put a new alarm clock.
that would be helpful. That would be one thing that would be helpful. And he's a great guy. Like, I love Kakuta, whatever. But I'm just talking about as a footballer.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, he was. I still think he was too much of a one-trick pony. I can't see him suddenly changing.
But look how far that trick got him.
At
right?
times.
But
I mean, he never really lived up to what his potential, or what we felt his potential was.
Didn't he get him like into a national team camp?
Yeah.
it could be a good fit for like a counter-attacking team.
Yeah, because they have Matix as well,
Yeah,
so you've got
yeah.
pace to burn again.
It depends. Like, we don't know anything about what Cincinnati are going to look like on the field, but you know, he does have MLS experience. He probably more than some of the players, like, you know, some of the new guys that they bring in. He can show the ropes to. He might be a placeholder too. You know, we never know. But it's a lot to pay for a placeholder, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and he doesn't take up an international spot, that kind of thing. It's all taken into consideration.
So I'm sure Alan knows what he's getting and thinks he can get the best out of him. We've got Fredy Montero that we feel that about, but it seems that Sporting are just giving their players to MLS just now. Orlando, if the reports are to be believed, look like they're about to land Nani, who I can't stand him. For years I've not been able to stand him. Now, surrounded by Man United fans here.
Whoa.
You're not one of the surrounders.
Okay.
I know you're big, but you're not surrounding us.
But
Sorry.
Did you have issues with your nanny growing up?
I'm Scottish. We can't afford nannies. We were just out in the streets.
it's not that they couldn't afford; they refused to pay.
Well, yeah. We paid in other ways.
Honestly, I am one of those people that were in the same category as you. I wanted to punch him in the face most of the time too. So
he's a diving bastard.
He's the kind of player, in my opinion. I know he's older, he's 31 or whatever, 32, but if he wanted to, if he was motivated, he could light MLS on fire.
Yeah.
And so aside from all that shenanigans you're talking about,
as much as I hate him, I have to admit he has skill.
He could.
Yeah.
Will he is obviously the question we're all looking to answer.
I think if he joins, he will be the top, like in the league, he'll have the best technique. He'll be in the top 5 of players' technique. And he's experienced, plays in Champions Leagues, won a Champions League, he's won, 4 or 5 Premier Leagues. Like, he knows how to win, but he's going into an organization train wreck, so who knows?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And last year, Orlando traded away all their allocation money, put all their eggs in the basket of signing veterans,
MLS
spending
veterans,
money, MLS veterans, backfired majorly for them. They don't really seem to have learned much. Now they're going for more big names, but yeah, he's been proven elsewhere.
What did MDS say about him again?
Oh, he said that he was on MDS was on a radio show. So we're just going to bring this up.
Oh,
yeah, somebody wrote in and asked about signing Nani to a DP contract. MDS basically said he doesn't really fit with what they're doing, and I think he said he's too old to fit in their system. But I can't remember the old part. Maybe I was thinking it at the time. He's too old, but he definitely said he didn't fit in the system.
Because as much as I would not want him at my football club, he would. He is the. I want to ask you, what would you guys think? Is he a name enough to satiate the people who long for a name in Vancouver?
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like won things internationally
because
won
he's
things-
played in the English Premiership.
But-
Folk have seen him on TV.
Yeah, but he was a good, like I'm being the Man United fan. He was a good player for United too.
A diving bastard, but yeah.
Yes, but like he played for Sporting after United, and then I'm
Which
not
was
sure
so
where he went.
rich for a diving bastard to play
Yes,
for a club called
yes.
Sporting.
Yeah, yeah, true.
I'll ask him that when I get to interview him. Did you find it ironic, Nanny, that you play for a club called Sporting?
You should just say that because he won't know what you mean.
Yeah. Ironic, I don't understand that.
How many Thunder bastards from outside the box will he get this season? If he does play for Orlando, they'll never get in the box, so he'll have to shoot from somewhere.
Yeah, maybe possibly. Now, talking about big names, another one that's linked with a move to MLS, and this is why I've tipped Portland to win the whole shebang. Chilean forward Eduardo Vargas.
Oh, yeah.
Only 29. That would be a fantastic addition. I would prefer him to Fredy Montero.
Right.
But there we go.
This is the gentleman who played for Tigres, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's good. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
10 million transfer fees. One of the things I've seen bandied
10
about.
million US, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Merritt has the money.
Is he a striker or is he? He's a winger in my head.
Well, he's listed as a forward, so I don't know. I
Well,
mean,
Portland's never worried about they'll stick a winger into the middle
they're
and
more
everything
fluid.
like that.
Yeah.
I think he was part of that Chilean team that just played like 100 miles an hour of football, like and would do a high press. Actually,
Yeah.
it would fit.
He would be a great addition to any team. And worryingly for us, if Portland get him, a lot of goals there. But one injury away for being out this season. Look on the plus side.
You know, every
Turf.
player is one injury away from being out for the season.
Yeah, I know. That's why
Right.
no one should spend massive amounts of
Right.
money.
So every player should be on the same salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just buy them all from East 5. No, actually don't, because then we'll be crap. Champions League gets underway this week. Hopefully Toronto get knocked out. Come on, whoever it is they're playing, I can't remember.
Is it a Panamanian?
I
It's
think
some
it's Panama.
small
Yeah.
team anyway. But the Whitecaps' only hope of getting into the Champions League is through the Canadian Championship. And we now know our path to getting there. We enter the quarter-final stage. Round 1, Cavalry will play Pacific, with the winner of that playing Forge, and the winner of that playing the Whitecaps, setting up what would be a magical Pacific FC Whitecaps BC derby. Lot to happen for that to take place.
I say the winner gets the one if you could play two, maybe.
Oh no, that's TSS Rovers.
I
and
know,
Highlanders.
I'm just kidding.
But that's fantastic.
Yeah. I think they would prefer to. I don't think they want to play Forge because that's a trip for the Whitecaps.
Yeah.
So I think they would prefer to play Cavalry or Pacific in that case. And I agree with you. I'd love to see Pacific in there.
Is it 2 legs all the way up?
Two legs all the way.
Oh, imagine if it was Pacific.
Yeah,
I'd make that trip
in
definitely.
July.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful.
Might spend the week over there.
Just
for the
we
away
can
side.
hire a ferry.
Yeah.
AFTN,
AFTN
boat tour.
tugboat.
We
Yes.
could get Chris to pick us up.
Yeah. Get some seamen. Get us to the island. Be great fun.
You, yeah, I know we talked about it before, but this whole Voyageurs Cup
debacle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I was going to ask if your thoughts have changed
No,
on it any
it's
now that the
just-
draw's been done.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it later. I think in CPL chat, but like
We are in CPL.
they've doubled down on their idiocy.
Yeah.
At the CSA.
Well, let's talk about that now.
Okay.
So, had a tweet in from Greg Petrie at Our Dumb World who says, I'm sure you'll discuss Pacific FC tonight, but remember that per CPL regulations, you must discuss Forge, Valor and Edmonton first, as they are founding members. The 7 teams from the CPL, 4 of them play in the first round. 3 teams got a bye. Edmonton, Forge and Valor. Because they were the first 3 teams to put pen to
Registered.
paper and register with the CSA. Now those 3 teams are battling it out for the new Canadian spot in the CONCACAF League because they signed first. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It is more than a farce. Like it is enraging. Like it. How
Apparently, though, it's not coming from the CPL. It's coming
No, it's the
from above
CSA.
them,
Oh yeah, it's the CSA. But yeah, but how was it agreed upon? So it might not be the CPL as a group, but you got to figure there's some individuals within the CPL that are happy about this.
Yeah. You also have to figure someone like Tommy Wheeldon at Cavalry is going to be pissed off beyond belief.
Well,
because he's built up a team that, to me, they're the favourites for this first year.
Except for the fact that I've heard that some, I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't verified it, but the word is some CPL teams didn't want to be in this year's Champions League, and CONCACAF was kind of forcing it.
Oh, okay.
Which even if that's the case, even if CONCACAF is saying if you want in, this is the year you're in this year. Even if some people didn't want that or whatever, they still should want to. Sorry, they should still.
Yeah, so we've got a little hum. I've just realised it's Steve's mic that's humming.
I don't know why it's humming.
But yeah, no, this is a disgrace. This is an absolute disgrace in Canadian football. This is not how this should be done. I tweeted about it saying, the CSA has been involved in so many things going well. Like getting a league or helping start a league, a winning bid for a World Cup. Those are great things. But this reminds you how incompetent they are or / can be.
Where does the favoritism, or where does this... Well, favoritism. There's no other word. Where does it end for these three teams?
I don't know anything. So this is not, I heard from someone back east or a friend told me or whatever. I'm not... But it's hard not to believe that... It's hard not to see Forge in this category and think, hey, the guy who owns Forge is the guy who's footing a lot of money for the league and has done a lot of the legwork in getting the league started. So it's tied to that. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying it's hard not to think that could be the case.
And then FC Edmonton is a team that they made this deal in order to get them in the league because they needed another team. And who's the third team?
Valor, the Winnipeg team.
I think Winnipeg. They put a lot of the owners there because they're CFL owners as well.
No, but they're no, they haven't put a lot. They're
not a lot of money, but they're CFL owners. So they maybe that was.
You know how their CFL ownership works, right?
I don't care.
No, they're No, it's a community club.
Is
okay.
it?
There's no big money there.
Okay.
There's no.
I'll be honest. It makes me want to root against those three teams for the whole season.
Well, you should have been wanting to root against those three teams anyway.
Oh yeah,
you hate those names.
I'm Pacific, Halifax, and then Cavalry. I like Tommy.
Yeah, no, that's
and
fine.
it's lots of ex-Whitecaps there.
Yeah, Marco Carducci. I can't wait. He could be keeper of the year. But no, it is so enraging that they've gotten something so simple so wrong, with the CONCACAF Champions League berth and the format for the Voyageurs Cup. Joe Deasy, what do you feel as an Irish Canadian fellow? How do you feel about this?
I saw all the reaction as it came out, and like the first thing that I saw actually was the draw for the Canadian Championship, and I said, "Oh, that looks weird." And then I saw everyone was mad about it. I could see why everyone was angry because, like, why do the CPL teams have to play a lot more rounds? Maybe they do have less games though. Like, I'm kind of coming at this from a different angle as well. Like they have less league matches than the MLS teams. Maybe not that should be a factor. But then I saw someone tweet, and I'm very sorry, but I forget who it was. But this made a lot of sense to me, and this is what got me on board with what everyone is saying now. That by tiering the championship like that, you are saying that your league is the worst league out of all three.
Yes.
And then even Ottawa, who are playing in Nassau, they get a bye. You don't get a bye because you play in the CPL. But the Nassau team does, and the MLS team does as well.
Yeah.
There's no more NASL. They're in USL. Same crap, different pile, I think.
No, but totally. But Marc Santos is a fan of the New Look competition, so I asked him what he felt about it on Wednesday. So here's what he said.
You know your path in the Canadian Championship now. What do you think of that, and what do you think of the revamped format?
I think the revamped format is great because it gives a lot of opportunity to new teams. It allows players to dream, and it allows players to try to excel as much as they can. It looks like a Canadian Championship now, a Canadian Cup. In the past, there was 3 teams that started, then 4, and now you have a lot of teams that could dream about achieving something. Like I said before, our objective in this competition is at least to reach the final.
So Marc Santos' thoughts there. So I'm looking forward to it anyway as a competition. Hopefully, DeSantis is targeting it. He's got it as a priority for the Whitecaps to get at least to the final. So we'll see what happens.
Every CPL club is going to be so up for this.
I just hope this is a year off thing.
Yes.
And they don't have to do this.
I think it will, because
it has
should
to
maybe
be.
have more teams coming
It
up.
has to be. Oh, West Bromwich Albions in the house.
Joe is stripping off here.
Yeah.
Stripping on.
The other thing is, whenever I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember, but the first game where Ottawa plays a CPL club, that's going to be everyone's going to be.
Yeah.
Whatever streaming service that's going to be on.
Yes, but
everyone's going to be watching.
Everything should be getting announced soon, apparently.
All the CPL teams
soon.
should...
They've been saying that for like 3 weeks.
All the CPL teams that limited should loan players to that team.
It would be great if they made that... They expanded it a lot more. I know the TSS Rovers account, they always go out and say, "Oh, let us into the party." But it would be great, wouldn't it, to get all these...
it would be.
Like, even if you're a semi-professional. But they
I
have
won
those teams in Ontario.
BC Provincial Cup winners and everything.
It also, I know they don't want to do this for revenue, but it also should be, we talked about it, should be switched to single leg.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a true open draw, a true draw where it doesn't matter what side you are, you could be the host.
Yeah. Last thing we'll talk about CPL in this section. Pacific FC have invited all their members to a big announcement on Tuesday. Don't know what it could be? In completely unrelated news, here's a chat I had with Marcel de Jong earlier this year, talking about his favourite television shows.
TVOD, TVOD, TVOD.
What TV shows are you watching just now, Marcel?
I watch a lot of Netflix, of course, with a lot of traveling. Right now I'm watching Orange is the New Black, but I've watched a lot of shows. I watched Spartacus, I watched like the Marvel shows, I watched a lot of shows, but right now I'm into Orange is the New Black. So.
What's your favourite kind of TV shows of all time, or show of all time? What one would you regularly go back and watch again and again?
I would say I really love enjoying watching The Walking Dead, which is good. Of course, Entourage, and with the Heisenberg.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, yes, of course. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So yeah, those three are my all-time favorites.
And do you have any guilty pleasures? Any shows that you shouldn't watch but you do watch?
No, sometimes I watch like those Marvel shows. I find them like really cheesy and and then I like 3 shows in, like, why am I still watching? But I still like keep on watching, so I don't know.
Yeah, Jake can confess to watching The Bachelor. So.
The Bachelor? No, I don't watch those shows. No.
That's great.
TVOD. I don't need a TV screen. I just stick the aerial into my skin and let the signal run through my veins. TVOD.
Marcel de Jong talking about his favourite television shows. We had that done last year but never got a chance to air it, so I thought this seems a good time. He's moving on to pastures new. Wish him well. Looks like he is going to be joining Pacific FC. Good luck to you, Marcel. And we'll be back with the final part of tonight's show after this.
Hi, I'm Kekuta Mane. You're listening to AFTN Soccer Show.
Nothing says AFTN than a theme song about old things. But Steve picked this one.
Pastimes, Michael. Pastimes.
Tell us what it was.
It was the Antique Roadshow theme song. Debuted 40 years ago this weekend. Either this Sunday or the Monday, I can't remember. It was 17th or 18th.
Nothing better on that show than someone taking their prized possession and finding out it's worth £1 or something.
But some of them, they were worth a lot.
That's a disappointing one.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, you're back listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. Anyway, now it's time for our second wavelength of the evening, and it's our second tribute song to the sadly departed English goalkeeper Gordon Banks, who died at 81.
That's better.
This is by a group called the Bantams, not the nickname of the football team, but the actual group called the Bantams, with a song called Gordon Banks, and it's about saving the world like Gordon Banks.
Broken elevator, it's a broken educators, all the breaking edge is broken down. My heart freezes knowing you might hear this. I guess I'll have to fight if I become Sam my team now. Despite opinions worse than not enough, I'm less than just an expert. Coercion, certain curtains close, so hear me out. I'll save the world, I'm golden banks to squash the fairness for the cash, the Calabasket and live for all the glory now. It's my greatest escape. I'm holding all my dreams for you. Flash the signals away. My only mission is to, because I'm out of my mind, I wanna get up with you. Because I'm out of my time, my only mission is to, sleepy-eyed days are gone nowadays, but there is nowhere else to go to. What is easy, what is right, run me off into the night, armor in and armor in the next room. I'm a simple scratch, just to have more bad attention, fences down and panic settles in around now. Say the word about a year, it won't be done without you. Yes, I hear the words I'm saying, listen when I tell you. Spending the night, just have a Dramamine or two. Try as I might, you're always in the next room. Because I'm out of my mind, I wanna get next to you. Because I'm out of my time, of all the things you put me through. Safety, but the sea will comfort me and I'll always find my way back home.
That was the Bantams there with their tribute to Gordon Banks that Zach finds hilarious.
Sorry, just some good CPL laughter.
There was some great stuff that we were talking about. CPL. Can we talk about that? I don't know where you got it all from.
Oh, it's from some friends around the country.
Let's give a little taster because this is funny.
So this is from a friend, a Forge friend. He said, talking about York 9 this year and some of the awkwardness. I think some of this has been on Twitter probably now, but the York 9 starting 11 brought to you by 7-Eleven. And then a friend from Saskatchewan said, the York Knights starting 11 brought to you by Bet365. And then another friend from the Halifax area said the York City, and York 9 should have a friendly tournament sponsored by Yorkie.
That would be great for truckers. That was their old advertising campaign. It was only for truck drivers. It wasn't for women.
Pastimes.
That was a pastime?
Different times, Zach. Different times.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying. Sorry.
I don't know. The silence just made that. Anyway, now it's time for Steve's part of the show. It's BC Soccer Web headlines.
I was part of the other parts of the show too.
But this is your part. You drive this.
Only because I'm the only one willing to do the research.
You drive this like a man
Bill Curry's bus.
Driving a white van with curtains over the back windows.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Anyway, this is BC Soccer Web headlines, brought to you by White Vans and bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for national, international and local news and links.
Any updates, Steve?
Yeah, okay, so FIFA Gate. We thought it was all over. It's not over. Mr. Webb.
Howard?
No. The former CONCACAF president is sentencing is moved for a 9th time. It's now going to be August 21st. So
why?
He comes up with reasons. It's not. I didn't see any of the articles why it was.
It's as many nines as York.
The World Cup 2030. Chile has joined the South American bid, so there's now 4 countries in there. Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay are the other 3. Other potential bidders is the UK bid, and Morocco will either team up with Spain, Portugal, or Algeria, Tunisia. So, and there's also a rumored 4-country bid from Eastern Europe and the Balkans. Don't know which ones they would be, but because usually the Balkans don't get.
There's probably only 4 that get along.
So. Oh, is there only 4 that get along?
Pick the 4 countries that aren't going to kick shit out of each other.
Okay, so international news. Scottish Premiership players are unanimous in calling for artificial surface ban.
Yeah, they're not fans.
No, Hamilton, Kilmarnock, Livingston are the 3 teams that play on artificial surfaces. The petition was circulated by the union amongst players from the other 9 clubs, so they didn't want those 3 decide because it would be
because they will obviously vote.
Yeah,
hey, we want to keep our expensive pitch.
Yeah, a majority feel the turf has affected the play, and more importantly, the recovery for the next game. That's what the one they're really against. Yeah.
So I know what people's response to this will be. They'll say the data doesn't back this up, and that's a fair perspective to have. You also have to for me, the more important perspective in this is what do the players want to play on? Because again, they
want to play on grass.
They want to play on grass.
I've told you before though that like East Fife dug up their award-winning pitch to put down an artificial pitch because it makes money, and they have no games called off. So for the lower league teams, it makes sense. But then if they get promoted, they've got a problem. That happened to Sutton United in the English non-league. They couldn't get promoted, and they were in the promotion places for most of last season because they had an artificial pitch. So you can't have teams playing on it and then say but you can't be in the Premier or you can't do that.
But that's the thing though. They knew that rule, right? When they So they chose the financial stability or the not having games called or whatever. So I'm assuming things about that situation, but that would be my understanding.
No, that is.
So if you want to be more, where you're more worried about making sure that you don't have game calls called off and lose money and rescheduling or whatever, then sure, you can go that road. But again, what do players want to play on?
Yeah,
they want to
grass.
play on grass.
I can say from personal experience because the one time we played a BC Place for the media match, I was not walking very well for the next couple days.
Me neither.
And I was
playing elbow I took from Jason DeVos.
Could be, but I was playing goal too, so I wasn't even running around that much, and it's still you could feel the effect you had on you. Going to Italy, Palmero has been sold for the second time in 3 months. In December, owner Maurizio Zamparini sold the club to a British-based group because they said they would, settle the debt of 22.8 million euros. But something's happened. They've sold back to associates of the former owner. in order to sell to a new owner who is putting together a plan to buy the club. The old owner can't buy the club back because he said he's under house arrest for money laundering, which explains the $22.8 million in debt possibly. So we'll see what happens with Palmera there.
I saw something on Twitter today, not for this club, it was a Serie C club
Yeah.
that were in financial bother, and they were going to forfeit a game which would have seen them wound up, or
They would have got kicked out of the league.
out of the league.
Yeah.
So they got together the minimum number of players that they could, 7,
Yeah.
just so they could play the game, and they got beat 20-0.
The report I read was 8, and one of them was their 19-year-old manager.
Yeah, and
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
There's
interesting.
hope for you, get to Italy.
And remember,
Yeah.
remember Italy? They had a thing where they're banning all advertising from lottery establishments,
never
right?
saw
So
that.
no,
Like
that
betting
was
companies
that was a couple of months ago. We talked about it
Oh.
on the show, and so that's affecting everybody financially as
Oh,
well,
I see.
right? So because they want everything to be clean, but
It's an
even when
ongoing
you do that,
discussion in many
Yeah.
places. I know in England they're trying to have a reflection on that as
Yeah,
well.
and some of the cup competitions they can't play with
Their
like gambling
advertisements,
sites on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know that just cleared something up for me, because I saw Sunderland playing with no because they're, I think it's Sky Bet or something that they have
Yeah.
on the front end. That I personally, it's kind of a moral kind of a
It is
question
weird.
mark.
You want to get rid of match fixing, but yet you can bet on these games. There's
Yeah,
other
and
bookmakers.
also the gambling addiction side, right? Like,
Yes.
Could you enjoy a game if you are constantly being barraged with like Sky Sports are terrible for that kind of thing, because before the between the handshake and the kickoff, they have an ad for their betting service, right?
And all the billboards, every stadium, it's
yeah.
all betting sites, and a lot of Far East ones as well.
And in Chinese, it's all betting sites,
Yeah.
or like kind of like weird services that you wonder how did they ever get a spot on the billboard. But like betting advertising has become a very big part of the modern game, and even the championship in League One are called Sky Bet Championship, Sky Bet League One.
I don't actually think I've told you guys this. We have had, and I'm being serious here, but we've had like betting companies get in touch with me saying, "Oh, we'll sponsor your site. You just need to put all these ads on it and stuff." And I've always said no, because I just don't think it's a good thing to associate with.
Yeah,
that's why you never give Steve the raise he's on.
Yeah, that's why we're poor.
So in Italy, we talked about earlier Portugal, players getting attacked by supporters. Well, in Italy, they're attacking the wives of players. Mauro Icardi's wife, she's also his agent, Wanda Nara, was driving near San Siro when her car was hit by a rock with her kids in the car. They're currently involved in a dispute with the Inter Milan, which has caused Icardi to be stripped of his captaincy, and he's not traveling with the club to European competition as well. Nara, the wife, has been criticizing the club and the players during this whole squabble, like on social media. And if you recall earlier, she is the ex-wife of Maxi Lopez. I think he played for Inter, and it was kind of some cheating going on with Icardi, and.
Apparently, Lopez showed up at home, and
yes,
Icardi was there with his wife and kids having dinner or something. It was something out of a movie.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I think it was out of Talladega Nights, because but Ricky Bobby showed up. He was having
Thanks for the spoiler on Ricky Bobby.
That movie's been out for ages, and that's only the middle of the movie.
My only insight into this is recently Kirk and I were playing Champions League on FIFA 19, and I had to play as Inter, which was not my preference, but Icardi was so slow.
No wonder he's spent all his energy.
Yeah, he's getting hit by rocks. Little news, and I wasn't able to send this to you because I saw this really late tonight. U.S. Soccer just had the annual general meeting. Now, normally we don't care about U.S. Soccer, but we're going to talk about some things that happened there. So Claudio Cordero came out with a couple of quotes. First of all, about the Qatar moving to 48 teams. He says strong forces at FIFA want to go up to 48 as quickly as 2022, including the FIFA president. So he does acknowledge that Qatar can't handle it on its own, and he knows that a lot of the clubs the countries that would help are not very big fans of Qatar as well. So there's obviously things there.
Strong forces like money?
like strong forces. I'm thinking it's the Saudis that really want this, because I think they're the ones that are backing Infantino. That's a conspiracy theory that I've seen.
And do they have any money?
They have lots of money. There's also a thing that's going to be starting soon where a FIFA ID is required by every player in every association. This is all because of the DeAndre Yedlin, who was with the Crossfire for a time, and now they want money from Tottenham because they based on the soccer education they called it, and there hasn't been very good paperwork apparently. So there's going to be a FIFA ID for every player that's coming up through the system in every association. I don't know how that's going to work, but it seems like it will be.
It's kind of hard to believe they don't have stuff like that in place already, though. I mean,
well, they have the
MSL have their IDs.
They have the ITC or something. Maybe that's what's going to replace that or something in the future. National Independent Soccer Association is looking close to getting it sanctioning at the D3 level. They're trying to start in August of 2019. I don't know how long of a season they're going to have. I guess pretty short one, but it looks like Confederations Cup looks like it's going to be dead. It's no longer. It's going to be replaced by intercontinental playoffs to get to the 48-team World Cup. So there'll be a certain number of teams from every confederation. Then there'll be whoever's in the next 2-3 spots will go to play this Confederations Cup, and whoever wins those ones will move on or something like that. So it'll be something to do with that.
So is there still one coming up or no?
I don't know.
So Germany won the last Confederations Cup ever?
No. It all I think it all depends on if they do Qatar as 48. Because if they do,
so if they don't, then there might be one.
Yeah, and that's another reason why this next story is interesting, because there's no Confederations Cup. What's the point of having a Gold Cup? Gold Cup is only scheduled for 2019 and 2021 at this point. Because remember, the winner of that would go on to the Confederations Cup. It could be replaced by this is the journalist who wrote this. It said it could be replaced by a joint CONCACAF and CONMEBOL joint tournament, which is South America. So that's interesting to see if that actually happens or not. What do you guys think about that? Would you prefer that over a Gold Cup?
I actually would. It would be tougher for Canada, but to get better quality games and opposition and stuff.
I think, the Gold Cup has provided Canada with arguably its greatest footballing moment in its history. So it would be sad to see it go. But, I would need to look at this more. Like, what would this mean in the long term to see if it's really good or bad for Canada?
Yeah, like so many things, you need to see the first iteration to know if it's good or bad. Like, we thought VAR would be one way. It didn't turn out to be that way. The Euros with more teams, people are kind of divided over that, so I think this is along the same lines.
And that, my little possums, is it for tonight. So just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm part of the Movement Curve Collective. And something I've learned on tonight's show is that Joe Deasy likes the baggies.
You can find me at what am I? Joe DC Van, not Cheesy DZ anymore, and I'm not part of the Movement Curve Collective yet.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. You can find me on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Read our stuff, of course, on Away From The Numbers, aftn.ca, and I'll probably be found on YouTube watching some old Rod Hull videos. But until next week, thank you for listening. Hopefully we can get some Whitecaps games streamed over the coming weeks for us to talk about next weekend. And until then, take care and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.